Did you know that white evangelicals didn't always oppose abortion? Back in the 60s and 70s, a lot of them actually were glad it was a thing that existed. The topic really wasn't on their radar until about the 1980s. White Christian leaders needed a way to pull evangelicals into a political movement that would protect segregation without openly protecting segregation. By the 80s, many of their followers still didn't think much about abortion, but they were angry about losing control of the moral narrative in the country. Public schools had been integrated, and private schools were at risk of losing their tax-exempt status if they didn't integrate. Women were getting educations and jobs and fighting for rights to better themselves. Gay people were coming out of the closet and organizing, and the old school social order was changing, and ministers were pointing fingers at change makers as depraved. So for people that had been taught that their way of life was God's will, all this felt like the highway to hell. Conservative preachers, political operatives, and moral majority movement leaders did some research. Yes, they did field research and discovered that abortion could be the ticket to getting people to stand with them on all of those issues. So they framed abortion as a moral crisis that demanded urgent action. This turned out to be something that it was easy to get evangelicals on the same page about. I mean, killing babies, right? Abortion turned cultural resentment into a moral crusade. But they needed a bad guy. Every good story needs a bad guy. So guess who they picked? The conservative political system portrayed black women as irresponsible and immoral, always getting pregnant. White women never did that, right? Well, black women became the face of abortion in this era. The truth is, black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from childbirth than white women. But instead of fixing that very real problem, the pro-life movement used black women as scapegoats. It ignored the system that had put these women in danger and turned them into symbols of moral decay. Personally, I think the moral decay was somewhere else. This country has a long history of controlling the reproduction of people it sees as inferior. Enslaved black women were forced to give birth to children who were legally someone else's property for centuries. And then after slavery, many black and brown women were sterilized without their consent, often without their knowledge. Today, these same communities are being denied the right to end pregnancies that threaten their health. If this were about saving lives, we would be investing in prenatal care and supporting families. But the pro-life movement was never fully about abortion. It was about diverting attention away from a system with a political agenda opposed to integration and onto the very people integration was intended to help. You see what they did there? They wanted segregation, so they turned black women into degenerates. Very slick PR. A slick trick to convince white people that the problem is black people, but it's not. The problem is the system, and white people are subservient to the system. The next time you want to blame someone for something you don't like, make sure you're blaming the right people. The reason we have an abortion problem is that the religious right invented one to divert attention away from their own issues, and they blamed black women. Get curious. White people, please share my work, especially with white people, and leave a comment. Even one share shows you care about placing responsibility where it belongs. I love my black followers so much, but I really want white people to hear what I have to say. Y'all have a great afternoon.